Hello, everybody, and the Mets Way is back. I guess YouTube or Twitter's fastest growing and most awesome and super fun New York Mets show, hosted by Jimmy Hot Takes No One there, sipping out of his Mets stein. We have one of our new hosts in the Coca-Cola corner, wearing the Coca-Cola shirt, Drew Michelle. We are missing president of the Jeff McNeil fan club, Josh Shaw. But he will be back hopefully for our next show. And you have me, of course, your eternal optimist, Jared Levison. And boys, I mean, it's light out right now. I'm starting to see some petals on some trees, hearing the birds chirp. The springtime is in the air, and baseball season is 1 week away. How are we all feeling?
Oh, I'm feeling great. Baseball 1 week away, literally 7 days, going to opening day, the home opener in 2 weeks. So I'm going to be pumped about that. And just found out that I'm meeting Cohen. And the WBC was freaking awesome. I was actually against it for a little bit, but we're going to get into that later. But Drew, what about you, man?
I have never been so excited for a baseball season in my entire life. I feel like I've been waiting for years for this season to start, and I cannot wait.
It's good to have you part of the show too. Hopefully, it'll be a nice little foundation. We'll get to know you. The audience will get to know you a little bit. James already kind of alluded to it a little bit. We're going to be talking about the WBC and some reflections on it. We're talking Brandon Nimmo and Edwin Diaz's injury, third base between Brett Baty and Eduardo Escobar. We're talking about the Mets utilizing a six-man rotation for parts of the year, and also cuts and call-ups, because we've got some recent news with that. Since we only have a week left of spring training, thank God. One of the most boring parts of the baseball season for sure. Let's get into it, man. We're back, baby. And that's why he's back.
Yeah, I'm pumped, man. I'm pumped for baseball, dude. And by the way, I'm the screw the Yankees guy as always. So before we do start any Mets show, screw the Yankees, by the way, right off the bat.
All right, yeah. Why not? We'll start taking shots early. But I mean, just ready for a whole season of disappointment. But one thing that didn't disappoint, to a certain extent, was the World Baseball Classic. I know a lot of Mets fans in particular were incredibly annoyed and frustrated with obviously Edwin Diaz tearing his patellar tendon, celebrating a win. Not even like getting hit by a pitch or not even hit by a pitch, but hit by a ball or something in game. It was a celebration. But overall, I mean, I thought it was a pretty cool tournament. I was up late some nights watching. I didn't watch every game, but some nights I'd watch like Chinese Taipei versus Cuba, and the fans in that game, the crowd, the atmosphere, like just seeing how baseball is culturally in games in different places. Like in Taiwan, they have a band playing the whole time, and while Taiwan is hitting, the fans are like chanting and clapping and like singing along to this band the whole time they're up. Like the energy was just crazy. So that was really cool to see. What about you guys? What were some things that, really stood out to you from the WBC?
Biggest thing I could compare the WBC to is like the World Cup in soccer. And from this World Baseball Classic, it's evident that all the players they feel like it's such a big honor to play for their countries. And that's something I respect a lot. So when you get to things that happen, injuries like Diaz, I'm 100% sure they wouldn't trade playing in the WBC, for anything else. So you can't be mad at that. It's part of the game. It's part of life. It happens, but it's unfortunate that it happens to us and in this stage of the game of the season.
Yeah, I agree. It sucks, but like Drew said, shit happens. Well, basically, he said shit happens, like at the end of the day, like you said, man, the WBC means a lot to them. You even see, I think it's great for the game of baseball too, because like you said, the World Cup, you see soccer worldwide is one of the best and probably the biggest sport worldwide, definitely. Then you have sports like the NBA, which is probably the fastest growing sport right now outside of the NFL. And especially worldwide, it's bigger than the NFL because it's worldwide. You see guys like Jokic and Luka. So I think, the international pool is it's perfect for baseball. We're going to start seeing more guys from Japan, more guys from Puerto Rico, more guys from the Dominican Republic, more guys from maybe even Team Italy. Shout out Mike Piazza, I just think
Matt Harvey.
Yeah, and Matt Harvey. So that's another thing. Harvey, he kind of he kind of put himself on the map a little bit more. He potentially could get like a little minor league deal because he had an all right WBC. But, I think like, yeah, it sucks that Diaz got hurt. And, at first I was like, all right, like I hate the WBC, pull every Mets out of it. But like at the end of the day, like he could have got hurt. He could have got hurt in like after Nimmo got hurt. It was like, okay, like, you know what? It really doesn't matter. He was going to get hurt if he was it was a non-baseball injury too. It was not like he was playing. So there's really nothing you could do about it. Really just shit happens. But I think the WBC is great for the game. I don't think we should. At first I was like, let's move it to the All-Star break. But I think the hype every 3 years would just be better for it. And also no pitch clock in the WBC, and the WBC was still like more watched than any other baseball that's been on in the MLB for recent years. So that's another thing. I'm a fan of the pitch clock, but it's also interesting how the WBC did very good in ratings without the pitch clock. It just goes to show you, like Drew said, the players buy in. So the MLB's got to figure it out. Like we see the Mets, like it seems like their players are starting to buy in with Lindor's preseason comments so far. And the Yankees, obviously, Judge seems locked in too. So like you see the big time teams, like their players are locked in. We just need to see it from all 30 teams, like the Pittsburgh Pirates, the Chicago Cubs. Like a couple years ago, they had that high energy, but they kind of lost it a little bit. So just want to see teams like that start buying in a little bit more, because every team in the World Baseball Classic wanted to win. And if all 30 teams try to win in the MLB, then I think we can get that same high energy play.
Well, I think all players are trying to win in Major League Baseball. I mean, it's like, obviously, there's a lot of organizations that are like, you know what, we'll save money, we're fine kind of losing games, but like, the individual players, like they want to win every game. It's just like, when they strike out a guy in the 6th inning, they're not like pumping their fist and like jumping up and down like you saw in a couple games. I mean, I think it was averaging around 4-ish. Like the championship between the US and Japan was like 4 million something viewers, which is like, I think it was like the 4th. If it was an MLB playoff game, it would be the 4th highest of the divisional series. I think that's pretty good, right?
Yeah, I mean,
so yeah, it's great for the game. I really liked what Drew pointed out, just like the passion of the players and seeing like how much it really meant for them. And it is, because baseball, we don't see you guys represent their country so much, and it is an international game. And I mean, look at the lineups that Puerto Rico had, the Dominican Republic. It was even cool seeing Cuba and like some of the guys that they have that aren't in the MLB because like they can't physically leave their country without like trying to sneak out. Team Mexico was a huge surprise with Randy Rosarina. Rowdy Tellez was on that team, and old Met Taiwan Walker, was good for Team Mexico. But of all the Mets, I mean, we had Lindor, we had Narvaez, we had Escobar. I guess we can count Matt Harvey too. Alonso, McNeil, Adam Ottavino, Brooks Raley. Out of all the Mets who played in the WBC, which of you guys think had the best tournament?
I think the best tournament overall for me, it would probably have to be either Jeff McNeil or Lindor. I mean, Lindor, he had some high energy moments, the inside the park home run, really fired up. Not only just Mets fans, but like we saw Yankees fans going nuts about it. That were just like I had some of my Yankees fans that are Puerto Rican, like Jacob Drew. He was pumped up about Lindor, and it's like, dude, you hate on Lindor in the regular season. He's like, yeah, but it's the World Baseball Classic. That's my guy right now. So it's just like, I feel like Lindor really put him, like this WBC was really good for Lindor. And I think he's going to have a really big start to the season also from this. But also like, I'm also a little bit worried about guys like Pete Alonso. He didn't really get a lot of at-bats, like Escobar. We could have seen them play a little bit more. And I think they would have played a little bit more in spring training, but at the same time, like, I'm not really too worried about those two, because those two, they're going to, I'm not worried about them. Like I said, they're going to figure it out. But Lindor, I think he's really going to have a big start to the season because, we just saw him playing in like playoff games basically. So, and the energy that he brings, he just put himself on the map that much more.
And that's one of my favorite things about the World Baseball Classic too, is all the super teams that formed, like as you alluded to earlier. My only gripe with this, however, is I'd like to see the USA field one of these years, their actually best team possible. I mean, you saw a lot of guys opt out, and it makes sense. But could you imagine if we had our best players playing in the World Baseball Classic against all the other countries' best players? It would make that pedigree that much higher. It'd be a spectacle for all to see, and I'd love it.
Yeah, I think a big part of that too is just, the timing that it is in the season. And
Yeah,
because the lineup was great, offensively it was great, but the pitching staff, Adam Wainwright was our ace, who's, he actually ended up, I think, straining his groin or something. But, for pitchers to ramp up and get to that level, it's tough for them. But, I mean, speaking of kind of that injury thing, I kind of want to segue into, we already talked a little bit about Diaz. It sucks that it happened. But it was really even more scary a couple days later. Not even a couple days. It might have been the next day or two. But Brandon Nimmo has that awkward slide in a second base. Like, can barely stand up right away. He's like hitting his hand on the ground. And I mean, I freaked out. I'm sure you guys freaked out too. Luckily, we got the best news possible, which was a sprained knee and a sprained ankle. And as of today, he, in a minor league rehab start in AAA, he hit a 2-run triple. So I think he's going to be set for opening day. What were your guys' just reactions off the bat when Nimmo got hurt? And do you think he should rush for opening day, or do you think he should take his time?
I think he's a guy that should, honestly, like, if he needs to take his time, because, you guys know, and I'm a big fan of Nimmo. We're all big fans of Nimmo. But like, I know we all love his defense. I love the fact that he can lead off. Jared, you allude to all the time, like, even when he doesn't get on base, when he leads off, the 10 to 12 pitch at bats, like those little things that Nimmo does. And he's a guy who I think he's only played in 140 plus games twice in his career, just this past season. And what was it, 2016 or 2017? He had that really big year. So if he needs to take like the first week off of the season, no big deal. If he can be ready for opening day, which I think he honestly is, because if he's hitting triples in AAA and he's looking strong, then I think he'll be more than ready for opening day. But if he feels he needs more time, then take his time, because we need Nimmo this whole entire year. And if he's rushing it back and it could potentially harm him, then I don't think it's worth it. If he needs to take a week or two off to start the year, no big deal. It's a 162-game season. It's a long season. I'd rather Nimmo be full-on healthy for the whole entire season than risk it so on early.
I agree. He's just the kind of player he is. He's hustling around the bases. He's drawing walks. That's good for us. But in a situation like this, you want him to be 100% so that he can help us out the most possible. So if he needs to wait, whether that's down in AAA or just rehabbing his injury, that's fine. If we get 100% Nimmo opening day, I'm all for it.
Yeah, and he's a guy, like you said, Drew, just now, like, he hustles too. So I would be honestly afraid, though, of, like, if Brandon Nimmo is saying that he's ready for opening day, but, like, maybe deep down the doctors know, or Buck knows, or even Epler, like, someone in the Mets organization knows that, hey, maybe he's trying to fight through this injury. Nimmo, like you said, he hustles the first on walks and stuff like that. So, I don't want him to overdo it and try to rush back, because Brandon Nimmo is that type of player where he does want to play every day. He wants to be on the field, because he is turning into like the leader, a really big leader of this team. He was a huge part of this team last year, and one of the reasons we had 101 wins. So, I don't want him to overdo it. But then again, if he is 100%, I'm all for it. But at the end of the day, though, I don't want him to overdo it if he's gonna harm himself.
I mean, from just that little tidbit there, I see, like, honestly, like, I would be okay just seeing how, like, bad that injury was, especially immediately after. He's like, oh, he'll be back. Like, if you told me when he got injured he'd be back like beginning of June or the beginning of May, maybe the beginning of May, beginning of June might be a bit too long, I'd be like, all right, that's fine. He misses a month. It's like, whatever. But I would be pretty bummed out if Brandon Nimmo wasn't leading off for the Mets on opening day. As much as I'm like, yeah, take your time, it would definitely take away some excitement for me. Like, that's just such like him leading off. It's just such a,
especially after the 8-year deal he got. I definitely see that, but at the same time, though, like, He's a guy who's been injury prone like throughout his career a lot. Like I just said before, only 140 plus games twice. So, and like Drew said, he's a guy who hustles the first base on walk. So if he feels he's ready, it's different from him being actually ready. Cause we all know some guys overdo it and play through injuries and don't really tell. So I don't want Nimmo to do that. If he needs a week off, I'm all for it. We could slide Marte into that leadoff role. We could slide McNeil into it. I'd rather Nimmo be here for the long haul instead of, potentially re-injure his knee or re-injure his ankle sprinting to first base on a walk. I don't want that. I don't want that to happen.
Well, hopefully Marte, I mean, he's been playing. He played today. Had some nice contact, like drilled one right into the right fielder against Atlanta today. Yeah, I watched one spring training game today. It was one of two that I fully watched this year. But like he just had core surgery too. Like, who knows how healthy he's going to be? I mean, he should be fine for opening day. I think he's still listed as questionable for opening day. But hopefully that all works out. I mean, I'm so excited. I'm trying to find a transition, but I mean, the best I found a transition. I've only watched like 2 full spring training games. I guarantee you guys haven't even watched more than that. Right?
No.
It's like
I've maybe
we do a baseball show, but like it's just ask any baseball person who does this for a living and doesn't just do it for fun like we do. They'll probably tell you the same thing. But one person that I have been keeping tabs on and everyone's been keeping tabs on has been Brett Baty. He has, I think, exceeded all of our expectations this, at least this fast in the season. So that leaves a big question mark for third base because I love Eduardo Escobar. He's one of my favorite people on the Mets. But Brett Baty is playing really good and really consistent. So who should be the opening day third baseman for the New York Mets?
Brett Baty.
100%.
Wow. You both think Brett Baty.
So you got Escobar, right? He's a proven third baseman. However, none of our DHs can hit right now. So I think you put Baty in third and you put Escobar in the DH role. That's 2 birds with 1 stone. And you give Escobar the reps and experiences up in the majors at the beginning of the season, opening day. And if he starts to decline, whatever, you can always swap him, put him down in AAA, and have Escobar come back. So I think having the depth there really helps in this situation.
Yeah. No, I mean, you could definitely have Escobar be that right-handed DH, which would mean we'd have to cut Darren Ruff, which I bet a lot of people would be really happy
Get
to
him
see.
out.
Hey, that's rough, but
But I might make
Rob,
a little case later about why we might be able to keep him around just to mess with you guys. But that is definitely one possible way. Jimmy, what were you thinking about the whole like how can you not like Eduardo Escobar, man? Like on the Mets YouTube shorts, he's like always being funny. We had the month of Escobar last September. Like we've seen flashes of what he can do. He can be a 20+ home run guy. Like,
yeah, I see what you're saying, and I don't want Escobar to not lose his starting role, but we already know that Escobar can play first, he can play third, he can play second, he can DH like Drew said. Baty, he can even play. He might be able to play a corner outfield spot. We've seen him mess around with that. The Mets have always been interested in moving him there. He could also DH for us too, and he could also play third base. But I want him to get the reps at third base, like Drew mentioned before. So if we can get him to get the reps at the major league level at third base, because at the end of the day, offensively, I think we all know that Baty is ready. He's got a 4.69 on base percentage right now, 333 batting average. His slugging percentage was 436. It's like almost like every 12 innings, this guy Brett Baty is getting a hit or maybe 2 hits. I think it's like Pete Alonso a couple of years ago. He was ready, and the Mets didn't need to wait because they knew he was ready. Brett Baty is ready. And like Drew said too, our DH stink right now. Vogelback, he can't buy a hit. He even said it himself right now. Ruff is, Darren Ruff.
That was a great clip.
Yeah, Darren Ruff. I mean, you mentioned it though today. You saw him get that stand-up double, but outside of that, I feel like he strikes out 3 times out of 4 every game.
Just wait. Just wait, Darren Ruff, man. Just wait. He's coming.
I just don't think putting Baty, though, in the AAA to start the year would do him any good. I think he's ready for the major league level, whereas you look like, because he came in ready for spring training. If it's like a true position battle, which is what this has been hyped up to be going into spring training, then I think Baty has won and he's earned his spot on the roster because he came into spring training ready. Whereas you look at Francisco Alvarez, who's hitting 111 in spring training and didn't make the roster because he's hitting 111, because he came in to get ready during spring training. Whereas Baty, he came ready for spring training. So I think that says a lot about Baty. Also Ronnie Mauricio, like he's a guy who showed up like big time, and I think he could definitely deserve a roster spot. But there's really not a spot for him. Yeah, there's just not a spot for him. Like, so it's just unfortunate for a guy like Mauricio. But Baty, there's a clear need for a DH. So he could either be in that DH role, or we could, like Drew said, move Escobar, who could potentially pop off 20+ home runs. I mean, we saw him do it 2 years ago, and it was the 2 months really of Escobar last year, where he was the best third baseman in baseball. So if he's our DH, I wouldn't mind that at all. And if that means Baty's our third baseman, I think every Mets fan would love that. And if that means Vogel's got to be on the bench, I mean, he could pinch hit here and there. I wouldn't mind that.
Well, Vogel's a left-handed DH.
So Vogel's is interesting because, with the shift ban, he's still not getting hits. Granted, we know Vogel. He's a player who's going to streak, get his hits, then be cold. He's going to get his hits and be cold, just like last season. But I will say this. When he first came to the Mets, he was so red hot in a time where we needed that DH. So honestly, like if he's going to be cold right now and in a few weeks from now, past opening day, he's going to be hot, then let him be cold. Let him get mad and curse out,
I love
let him, I love the guy.
Yeah,
he's awesome.
I think Mets fans, I saw there was a comment, I think on I think we might have retweeted the clip where he was like, I can't buy a hit. Someone was like, Mets fans are so delusional about Daniel Vogelback. And we probably are a little bit, just because he's like a big dude, with that video of him running around third base and his helmet falls off and he's just like chugging his like stubby legs and stuff. And he's just like a big boy that can hit. But like, he mashes right-handed pitching. Like that's what he does. He's not going to do it all the time. But yeah, maybe it's spring training. Let's not take what he's doing right now too seriously. I actually did a former guest of ours on the show, Ryan Finkelstein from
Locked On
Mets.
Yes,
he actually combined the WBC stats and spring training stats for Eduardo Escobar. So Eduardo through both competitions, it's 4 for 36. And then Brett Baty, just spring training alone, is 13 for 39. So to help you guys out a little bit in your cause, to get Brett Baty as starting third baseman on opening day. I don't know. It would be tough. I think I would not be surprised any point later in the season where Baty does become that guy, and they really might move Diaz to that DH spot. Because his defense has gotten better. I mean, I was just looking at some DMs, and he had a crazy play against the Nationals. Actually, that was about a week ago. Wow, that was a long time ago. He was like going to his right. Oh, that throw was so sick. I wish. Can we show video in here or no?
Yeah, I can get video.
Yeah, it was. Oh, if you go on the Mets Way Twitter and go into the DMs that I was sending to it, you can see it. He does like this. He like scoops up the ground ball, does this crazy spin move, and throws like not a dot to Vientos, and Vientos actually makes a sick play.
Yeah, I'll get that right now.
Yeah, I just want to look at this on the screen. That would be cool. But I mean, Escobar's so hard to get rid of, man.
He is, and like you said, he's such a good like personality. Like in the shorts, he's like 5 minutes, like.
Yeah, he never has an answer. Like it's like some great shtick, and like apparently now he's gonna sing. He like told Mets fans to suggest songs, and he's gonna sing for all the Mets fans and whatnot. Like, I'm here for that. But even like someone asked him, like, did you think when you came back from the WBC that your starting job would be in jeopardy? Or he's like, do you think you'll start opening day? And he straight up said, I don't know. He viewed himself like he's not sure because he recognizes how good Brett Baty is. And I guarantee Eduardo Escobar is in Baty's ear every single time they've worked out, telling him how to get better and do all these things. So maybe if it's Baty's time, it's Baty's time. But yeah, I think he should be on the 26-man. Maybe he doesn't start. Maybe he plays in left field. I don't know. It all depends. There's so many moving parts. We're still a week away, but
I'll tell you what, it's a great problem to have.
It is.
Not mad at all.
No, not mad at all. This is because I'd be cool with Escobar, and I mean, just to see how consistent his defense got, and hearing Brett talk, like he says all the right things. But always when he comes back to, and the several things I've read, stories I've read about him, it's just all I want to do is be consistent every day, go out and do what I have to do every single day at a high level. And defensive consistency was one of the things that we were all worried about at first. So that was it's a good problem to have, as Drew said. And I think we're all pretty stoked about it.
Yeah, I'm trying to get that video still pulled up right now. I know I see it from Steve Gelbs, but for some reason my computer is not doing well with the Twitter. But Baty, like I think like he's getting David Wright comparisons though. That's the only thing. Like
let's chill out there.
That's where I'm like,
what
like there's
some in the Twitter comment section on who's calling into your other show and telling you that? Like
no one's calling in, but I'm seeing it on Twitter, dude. I'm looking in like the Twitter Mets pages on the Twitter, like the community page, the one that KFC Barstool got. I'm not sure if you guys are. I'm gonna invite you guys tonight.
So, some jabronis. And
yeah, some jabronis because it's just like
one captain.
I mean, if there's one guy I would compare to David Wright, it'd be Brandon Nimmo. But like I don't know, Baty, he's got the potential. I feel like to really make an impact, not just be a rookie. Where like he's got like, I'm not gonna say he's got Julio Rodriguez potential rookie year, but
I mean his bat is nice.
Yeah, yeah, he's like in that spin throw that I'm trying to get up right now that you sent. Like he's there, like he's ready to go. It sucks that Escobar's there too because. Like you said, Jared, he's a guy who he's got pop still. He was a month of Escobar too, like just 2 months ago, even though he struggled in WBC and spring training combined. Like, I'm really not too worried because Escobar also did struggle last year and he really got it going. So, I mean, if he sucks to start the year, then maybe we just Baty full time. But, I think Baty should be the starting third baseman. And I think Escobar should be that DH on opening day. Whether Escobar's a switch hitter too. So, I'm not sure what his splits are lefty-righty right now, but so I'm not sure if Vogie or Escobar would make sense, but I think Baty should definitely be in that third base spot opening day.
Okay, so he earned it. So the question I wrote was obviously, does he deserve /earn? So you think he's earned the right to be third baseman just from, the 19 games he's played in spring training?
Yeah, if spring training is like for not just to get ready for the season and it's also about competition, and like Epler and Buck Showalter even said, like they're going to give Baty a shot to earn his job. I think, he definitely earned it.
True.
And he's been working hard too.
It's hard though.
Like he's like, has he earned it? Like he 100% earned it. Like you're going to be pissed off if he's not starting on third base.
Yeah, I'm going to be. At this point, yeah, I'm going to be Like I was in a Twitter space the other day, and like you said, it's just a bunch of yelling sometimes, and there was some guy just yelling about how the fact that it's like, oh, Francisco Alvarez, Buck Showalter and Epler are messing with his head. Like, dude, he's batting 111. Like guys like him came in to get ready for the season at spring training. Baty came in knowing, hey, I have a chance to win this job and be a part of something really special because this Mets team is trying to get a World Series. And he came out here and he's done nothing but produce in spring training. And if it's like a competition battle, then yeah, he earned it.
So Drew,
I got that video too.
It's hard because obviously spring training, you're not always playing against MLB level caliber. So when we go into the season, is he gonna, keep his good form up? But only time will tell. But I'm sold personally on him.
So you're going to be pissed if he's not starting opening day.
No, I'm not going to be pissed because Escobar is still a very good baseball player. But I'll be a little disappointed because I want to look into the future. Right? I want to see Brett Baty become the face of the franchise.
All right.
But
All right.
I'm thinking long term. So
okay. Do you have that
And
video?
I think, but I think I can get it right now. But like you said too, Drew, you're thinking future too. Like we have so many guys, so many veterans, so many win now players. We could also use a little youth, I feel like too, especially, losing Diaz for the whole entire year. So I think, Baty could be like a little spark, and it could also be a spark for Eduardo Escobar if he starts the season off as a DH. Let's see. How do we?
It's a little glitchy, but I kind of like it even better because you can see it in slow-mo. It's so sick. Oh, Kyber Ruiz too.
Is it up right? Oh yeah, it's up right now. I don't even see it on my screen, but
it's a little slow, but it kind of works that way because
there
you kind of see everything happen. Oh wow. See, he might have earned it. I'm not gonna be pissed. Depth's a good problem to have, and we have depth, so that's good. But you did say something, Jimmy, just now that I think carries us into our next section, which is the 6-man rotation. And our rotation is one of the, if not the oldest rotation in baseball. I'm going to start calling them the Over the Hill Gang because Kodai Senga at 30 is the youngest one, and our average age is 36. So, Drew's talking about the future, but the Mets kind of built this rotation to win now. This isn't a project rotation. This is a rotation that's coming in, with Verlander, Scherzer. I mean, Quintana's old too, but he got hurt. Carlos Carrasco's up there. And we got these two other guys, David Peterson and Tyler McGill, who can be very interesting pieces going forward. So the 6-man rotation, it got released by Tim Britton of The Athletic, really good Mets beat writer. So essentially what the Mets plan to do, for those who do not know, any point in the season where the Mets play on 10 or more consecutive days, they will have a 6-man rotation in place. So this isn't going to be like, through the whole season. This is like specific time during the year. Well, there's actually 3 different times during the year where they'll actually do this. And starting April 25th, we're going to have 26 games in 27 days. So we'll have a 6-man rotation then. Then August 1st, starting August 1st, we'll have 22 games in 23 days. And then in September, starting September 8th, we'll have 17 consecutive games, which is our longest streak without a break in between. And during all 3 of those times, we'll have a 6-man rotation. So as of now, with Quintana hurt, it'd be Scherzer, Verlander, Carrasco, Senga, Peterson, McGill, order to be determined. Scherzer's probably going to be the one in that, and Verlander too. We got to still see how Kodai and is going to shake out and everything. But I don't know. I mean, how does that sound? I mean, to you all, like, did you know that at first that it was kind of not a 6-man rotation permanently? But, how does it sound to you guys at all? Is it good, bad, whatever? You don't really care? Like, what's up?
So I want to point out that Senga comes from a league that has a 6-man rotation already. So I think this only helps us because putting him, in a comfortable position is only going to help his situation of trying to adjust to the MLB. Another issue will be just we're going to see a lot of Syracuse back and forth. I don't really know how I feel about that, but I guess, again, only time will tell.
Yeah, and like Drew said,
hot take, Jimmy.
Yeah, no hot takes here. I think the 6-man rotation, I'm a fan for it, not just during the 10 days. I'm a fan for it full time, actually. Verlander with the Houston Astros, just like Senga in Japan, they had a 6-man rotation for Verlander last year because he was coming off Tommy John. And, it really benefited him. I mean, he won the Cy Young Award, obviously. He kind of frailed out a little bit in the postseason, but at the end of the day, he had one bad World Series start and he had one good World Series start where he only let up 4 hits or 3 hits. I'm not even sure, actually. It could have been 3 or 4, but only 1 run across 5 innings, and he got the dub in the World Series. So won a Cy Young with a 6-man rotation. Senga, he was the best pitcher over in Japan with a 6-man rotation. I really think it makes sense, especially with Scherzer, too. We kind of saw him frail out a little bit towards the end of the last season against the Padres and the Braves. So I think, yeah, it would really benefit the Mets here to do that 6-man rotation, especially if we got the depth with David Peterson and Tyler McGill, 2 guys who I honestly believe should be in the rotation. David Peterson should be, regardless of if Jose Quintana was healthy or not healthy, should be in the rotation. He was a first-round draft pick. He's a lefty, and he in his starts last year, he was relatively good. It's just he was flip-flopping from the bullpen to starter, so I think that also kind of messed with his head a little bit. But the 6-man rotation, I think, is a genius idea. I think the Mets should do it. And when it's a 10-game stretch or a 10-day stretch, I think it's a good move. It won't hurt the Mets, so why not do it?
It might hurt us a little bit. I think, for just because we are the over the hill gang, we're kind of forced to do it, and especially how the schedule is going to play out. But so on 6 days rest, so pitchers normally 4 days, 5 days rest, right? And when they know that consistently, it's easy for them to get in the rhythm. They do the same workout every day. They know how to build up, and it becomes routine, and it's easier for them to kind of keep that rhythm. Your command is better because you're throwing more consistently, whatever. But pitchers actually struggle a lot on 6 days and 7 days rest in comparison to 4 or 5 day rests. You're out of rhythm, your feel, your command suffers a lot. And there's actually some numbers to prove it and back that up. So on 4 days rest and 5 days rest, on 4-day rest, the average ERA in Major League Baseball is like 4.09. In 5 days, it's 3.7. And on 6 days rest, it's 4.5. And on 7 days, it's 4.23. So, I mean, it is worse, not by a whole lot. I'm no numbers guy. Couldn't really tell you. I didn't study math in college. Didn't even take a math class in college. Took language instead. So definitely a big hack for all you kids out there too, if you don't want to deal with numbers. So there is that. I definitely think it's not like the most perfect thing, but I did feel like it was important to point that out. I did like how you brought up David Peterson and how he should be in the starting rotation because he's had – I know I said spring training isn't all that matters, but he's been awesome in spring training. Where's his numbers? Oh, what was it? He's had like 11 hits. No, he's given
up let up a run, right?
12 innings. He has no runs, and he's only given up 1 hit in the 12 innings he's done in spring training. And we have no Quintana for 3 months.
Need that lefty.
Taking that 5th spot over him. Fine. McGill coming in as kind of maybe like a Trevor Williams type. God bless Trevor Williams, one of our favorite Mets from last year. Was that kind of spot relief starter who needed to eat some innings when, your team's struggling a little bit. You've been playing a lot of days. Also, McGill has such a great nickname. You know what his nickname is?
I haven't heard it yet.
It's a big drip. And he's just like a big dude. And he explained what the drip meant. It had nothing to do with fashion. It was just like how he's just like a chill dude.
He's looked good though. He's pretty strong. Like spring training starts outside of his last one. I mean, he's a power pitcher, obviously, but he was been lighting up the K's column. I
wanted to ask you too, Jimmy, because I saw on your show you did pose a question, being like, should Tyler McGill be the starter? Be the closer for the year?
Yeah, I like that.
What's good with that?
I like that idea. Because last season, when he was coming back off the injury, it was like, oh, McGill's going to go in the bullpen. He's going to be this dominant bullpen guy. But then he wasn't really good in the bullpen. He stunk. But,
he was coming off an injury too.
Yeah, he was coming off an injury too. So it's like, wasn't too like upset with McGill's performances. And, you know, just really, like you said, there's not really a spot for him in the rotation, especially if David Peterson's going to take that spot now over Quintana. I think, you know, losing Diaz, it sucks. Yes, but we need a guy to step up. And I think, you know, Seth Lugo, he was kind of similar to McGill, where he was a guy who didn't really have a spot in the rotation, but he had potential. So we wanted to keep him around. The same thing for McGill. So I think moving him to the bullpen full time, and now that we need a closer, why not just move him to that closing role? Because he's a guy who we know, like I said before, he's a power pitcher. He throws hard. He gets a lot of strikeouts. He reaches up to 98, sometimes triple digits. So we see him reach 100 here and there. So if he's not pitching 4 to 5 innings, sometimes 6 innings, and just 1 inning a night, I'm sure we can see those triple digits, 98 to 100 consistently in 1 inning a night. And he's a guy, too, who could also go multiple innings. So if we need a 6-out save, if he is really good, you know, why not? So I think like McGill could potentially, if you throw him in that closing role, it could be a real wild card. I'm not sure if the Mets are thinking about it or even finagled with it at all.
Crazy wild card.
Yeah, but I think, like, I really think if you throw him in that closing role, I don't know. I think he, like, when Diaz comes back, I think it would be like, oh, like, I'm not going to say anything like, oh, McGill would, like, it's Diaz's job 100%. But McGill, he could potentially turn into, like, either a really good trade bait if he has a really good closing year, or he's our 8th inning man, because we don't really have one. Like, David Robertson is up in age. Adam Ottavino is up in age. So maybe we really find something in McGill in a really, like, a solidified bullpen role. And now that the closing spot's open, why not?
Okay, that last part about, oh, we don't really know what we have in him, might as well try it out because he's young. Okay, that kind of got me. But Drew, please tell me you disagree with the Tyler McGill as the closer thing.
You know, you can't rule anything out, honestly. I'm listening to it, and I'm intrigued. I'm like, you know, it doesn't sound half bad, but.
I mean, but we have David Robertson, who's a baller. He's an absolute baller. We have Adam Ottavino, who's a baller. I mean, do you see that sweeping slider he throws, especially in the WBC? I mean, like, we're fine.
When Diaz first got injured, I was like, we are royally screwed. But as time goes on, I'm seeing, you know, it's good because all the closers, they're all fighting. They're like, oh, this is my time. This is my time. I mean, you saw, I don't know if you guys saw Tommy Hunter. I think it was yesterday.
It's our boy. It's Josh's boy. Shout out Josh.
I don't know, man. I think he might make the squad this year.
I wouldn't be opposed to that. You know, Buck loves Tommy Hunter, and you know, I'm starting to love Tommy Hunter too.
He's a good spring training. I mean, he's let up no runs too, just like Peterson.
But Tyler McGill is a closer. We have Dave Robertson.
Oh yeah,
who was closing games for the Phillies in the World Series and has done it for the Yankees. And and
I think it also helps though.
Pitching in ALCSs for the Red Sox and closing games for the Mets even last year.
Yeah, because I think it also helps too, because it's like the committee style closing. I feel like it scares me a little bit. You know, I love it. And it also, like with Diaz, if Diaz was healthy, then we would have a lockdown 8th inning guy and a lockdown 7th inning guy. You slide McGill into that closing role, we still have a lockdown 8th inning guy and a lockdown 7th inning guy, because it's really not closer by committee. It's we found a potential replacement. I think, you know, I'm not sure if anybody in the Mets is thinking it. I know Steve Cohen's wife follows our Instagram, and I'm not sure if she follows our Twitter. So maybe I'll clip up a video, throw it on the Instagram, and tag her, see if she can say something to Uncle Stevie. But you know, if McGill ain't closing, if they didn't try it out by August and it's August 9th and I see Steve Cohen, I'm going to let him know and be like, yo, Tyler McGill, try it. I'm telling you, just give it a shot. Just give it a shot.
I really hope he's like, that's why you're where you are. And we have Kepler over there.
Hey, he was once where I was too. He just got a lot of money.
He decided to pursue a career in hedge funds and finance,
which is also why it's awesome, because he's making like moves like a Mets fan would. Like, oh, we got one hit, get Carlos Correa.
He is literally one of us if we had a lot of money.
Yeah.
Justin Verlander's the best pitcher. Go get him.
I think he's from Syosset, right? I'm from New Jersey. I'm from Dirty Jersey, not from, dirty Long Island, but I know you guys are Westchester boys, right?
Upstate.
Yeah, he's Albany.
I'm surrounded by those dirty Yankee fans.
Yeah. Speaking of Stevie, before we transition into call-ups and cuts, the scoreboard, that looks.
Oh yeah.
And
the scoreboard is tough.
So the website I write for, it's all Philly based, so it's all Philly people that work for it. They're all Philly everything fans, and like half of my Twitter is like Philly stuff related. And someone was like sharing like, "Oh, look at the Phillies brand new scoreboard. You can see it like from so far away." And I'm like, "Oh, they have no like they wish they had Uncle Stevie money to put like."
At this point, everyone in the league wishes they had Uncle Steve's money.
Yeah, the Padres are trying to be. Yeah.
I'm so excited to go see that thing in person. It's
and
just
the new food. You saw that donut and the chicken I sent in the chat? Yo,
I don't know. It looks like an abomination, but I'll probably try it and I'll probably enjoy it.
I would probably take one bite of it together and then just separate the two and then eat them separately. I don't know. It's just like mixing like that. Whatever.
And also he got the that new like seating in right field for like all the
the club.
The rich people. Yeah, they can just
the right field speakeasy.
Yeah, it's gonna be all like the Mets are gonna be like. I'm hoping that ticket prices aren't gonna drive up. But
they already have.
Yeah, I'm sure the 400s and the 5. I was looking though actually, because I'm going to opening day. If I didn't say it 500 times before, but yeah, I'll be there.
That's so cool.
And then
on the Marlins, right?
I think the Marlins is the home opener. But the day after, the game after, which is 2 days later on Saturday, tickets are only like, I think it was like $26. I was seeing in like section 400. So, for the second home game of the year, only $26. That's a steal. And what Cohen's been doing, I think we're going to see a lot of, last year, the Mets fans and the attendance had a problem, even being at game 3 of the Mets playoff game and it was empty. Like,
the Jets had a huge game against the Detroit. Oh wait, no. That's
I think that was game 3. Yeah, because they were trying to pull the
Dolphins. They played the Dolphins because I was at that Jets game and my dad and I were like, "Yo, like, should we just like not go down the turnpike home and just go to Citi Field and watch the game?" And we're like, "Nah," because think about how miserable we'd be if they lost.
Like, oh yeah, it sucked.
That drive home would be terrible.
Yeah, I'd like to, one thing, I hate to praise the Yankees, but one thing I've noticed is, Yankee games, at least from what I've seen, it's usually bigger crowds. And I think part of that has to do with you can get a ticket to Yankee Stadium for like $10. Like it's, even though you're looking, like I can't even see the players of the ball from way up there, but, the tickets are so cheap that, of course, everyone goes. And then another point, too, is that it's way easier to get to Yankee Stadium from anywhere upstate, downstate than Citi Field is. So
yeah,
if they had like that problem sorted out, then a lot more people would be able to go to Mets games.
Yeah, it was cool. It was cool that they did that whole like how to make the area around Citi Field more accessible.
Yeah,
and also like make it more fun, keep people around after the game, and have less traffic and whatnot.
$15 tickets for college students. That one you sent in the chat earlier.
That was cool. That was cool. I still have my student ID, so I think I can get by it.
Going back to school, baby.
Yeah, if it's like the student ID thing, though, we could,
it doesn't say a year I graduated on it.
Yeah, it does not. It does.
As long as I don't look like I'm, 35 or 40, like I'll be all right. All right. So this is the last segment of the show, Mets 2023 outlook. But we can also call it call-ups and cuts. So there was some news today, or yesterday. So spring training, you start the roster obviously with 60 people. And by the end of spring training, we need to get down to 26, and 13 pitchers. So as of yesterday, Francisco Alvarez, as we kind of mentioned, got option to AAA. Ronnie Mauricio got option to AAA. Joey Lucchesi got option to AAA. And Jose Butto got option to AAA. I know Jimmy said he was, just what were you guys' thoughts on, the guys who got moved down, surprised, shocked, disappointed, or expected?
Disappointed in Francisco Alvarez. I didn't really have any expectations for him, any high expectations for him going into spring training for him to steal the job from Tomas Nido or Omar Navarez just because we got him. Especially because Nido, he's been quietly having a really good spring training. He also had a really good last 50 games last year. So I do like Nido as a catcher, but I just wish Alvarez kind of hyped himself up a little bit more, made him, maybe even kind of make people like me be like, oh, we got to have Francisco Alvarez on the team because he's tearing it up in spring training. Even he didn't even like do all right. Like I said earlier in the show, he had a 111 batting average. So I was really disappointed in Francisco Alvarez. So I'm not surprised at all that the Mets sent him back down. I was really impressed with Ronnie Mauricio. If there was a spot on the roster for him, if Lindor wasn't our shortstop and we didn't have the batting champion and Jeff McNeil at second base, then I think Mauricio would 100% earn a roster spot. But unfortunately, we have them two. We have Escobar and we have Baty, who's also he's earned his spot too, and he's more ready, I think, than Mauricio. So, but I think Mauricio impressed me. I'm not really worried about this 26-man roster. I think Bucks and Epler are going to work it out good. I'm going to be interested to see what they do with the closers, and I'm going to be interested in who they give the ball to, whether it's Verlander or Scherzer. But I'm just really pumped up. I'm pumped up to see Kodai Senga pitch. I'm pumped up. I'm ready.
Yeah. I think all the all the demotions, if you will, they're all fine. I mean, Mauricio hasn't played in above AA ever. So him hitting so many bombs in spring training is great. It means he's developing, but I'd like to see him in Syracuse. I'd like to see him play at a level where it's, more respectable for, who he is. Alvarez, I think his issue is he's always in comparison with Brett Baty. And I think maybe Brett Baty developed faster and quicker than he did.
He's also older.
Yeah, that as well. He's only 21 years old, we forget. But even with him being sent down, he has such a great mentality. I don't know if you guys saw the interview. He knows he needs more time to develop, and that's fine. And again, if it doesn't work out, it doesn't work out. But let's hope. Let's send him down. Let's see what he can do.
It would have been weird to have three catchers on the team when we can only have, what was it? If we had three catchers, you can only have like four bench players, and if you have two guys sitting on the bench that are catchers, like that kind of messes things up, for a team that already doesn't have a lot of depth in the outfield. And, there's some guys like, Tim LaCastro and Tommy Pham. And Pham has been great, but, we pay money for him. So, Mauricio, I like how you brought up, he didn't even play AAA last year. It's going to be really nice to see him play at Syracuse. Who knows? Maybe he'll come up and play left field. God forbid anything happens to Mark Canada, though. Or even Starling or anything. Like, we love those guys. Like what Buck said about Francisco getting put down, he's like, I hope we don't see him come up, because if he does come up, that means either Nido or Narvaez are hurt, or they're not playing well, or the offense is struggling. Like, we shouldn't be we're in no rush to bring this kid up. We brought in Narvaez,
especially. Oh, my bad.
No, you're fine. No, you're right. Let him develop. I mean, he's pitching. Look at the guys he'd be catching for. Like, it'd be crazy. Like, the kid's still, he's 21. Guys,
yeah,
he's pitching to a 40-year-old. Come on.
That would be and I know his the language barrier could also be a thing too, especially with a pitcher like Kodai Senga. That's how would the translators, they would have to really they would really have to work hard there I know he is working on his English though. So I think things like that, his comments after he got called down, I think it shows that he's a guy that just needs more time, because we all know he's talented. Maybe this year maybe next year for spring training, he can have a Brett Baty type spring training. Maybe he comes ready for spring training and really earns that spot, rather than, this year he kind of faded out. But at the end of the day, he still is our number one prospect. So I'm still going to be pumped for him. And, anytime he hits a home run in AAA, I'm going to be pumped.
Is there anyone, kind of on the bubble of the roster, someone who's not already on the 26-man that you really want to see? And is there someone maybe on the roster or on the bubble that, deserves to get cut? Obviously, other than like a Brett Baty or something.
I think Darren Ruff still should be on the team. I know, even like I hate him.
Yes.
Like
Yes.
he sucks. I don't think he should start. I don't think he should be our DH.
His
But at
potential
the
is
end of
not
the day,
all right.
he's got a veteran presence. So yes, he is. He hit that stand-up double. I know you were pumped about that, Jared. But
Hey, he's batting 167 now in spring training, man. Just the numbers are only going up.
you know what though? I think he really was having a rough spring training to start off, but he's actually kind of did pick it up though a little bit later on. Just looking at his numbers now, his last 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 games, he's got 3 hits in 6 games. So that's pretty good for Darren Ruff. I'd like to see him just stay on the bench, be a pinch hit and roll, a power option off the bench. Maybe he can drive in a run here and there. But, I'd like to see him on the team. I think Brett Baty should make it, even though you said don't talk about him. I want to see him on the team. And I know this isn't a bubble move, but just because we are running out of time, I just wanted to bring up, I hope Kodai Senga, like his control isn't an issue, because he did have 3 walks in like 4 innings or 3 innings in his last start. And his walks have been up in like, 2-3 inning appearances in spring training. So that's the only thing I'm worried about Senga. But obviously, he's not on the bubble.
He's a bit of a wild card.
He's testing his pitches. He's coming over from Japan. He's
Good
testing
point.
his pitches. He didn't even throw his ghost forkball. So
yeah, he was trying to avoid injury, right?
Yeah, he's testing his arsenal. When you see him, he's throwing that fastball, and it's getting people good.
There.
So when the regular season comes around and he's throwing his ghost forkball, he's throwing his fastball, he's gonna be fine.
Yeah, I can't wait to see him against like an actual, major league lineup in a major league stadium, not at Clover Park in front of like a couple grandparents and their kids, some snowbirds. He's a bit of a wild card. I'm not too worried about him. I really want to see Tim LeCastro on the roster. I know Super Mets fan Evan Roberts is really high on him, and I was like, it's just like kind of a fun name to say, but I actually looked into it. The man started his career with 28 stolen bases. If you look him up, he had some pretty highlight reel plays defensively in the outfield last year for the Yankees. He's also a Syracuse native. I went to school at Syracuse, went to Ithaca. It's also nearby. So shout out. Like a D3 guy making it to the MLB. Pretty cool. And spring training in 42 at-bats, he's hitting 310, 408, 956. He has 1 home run, he has 8 RBIs, and he has 6 stolen bases. And the whole time he played last year, he had 8 stolen bases. The bases are bigger. I don't know. I just like having these like fast utility guys. Like he could play the infield, he could play the outfield. And we need depth. With Nimmo obviously being injured, Mark Canha, who knows, how healthy he's going to be, and also Marte. So having a guy like LeCastro could be pretty good. I also like John Curtis in the bullpen. I think he's put together some strong outings, and I'd like to see him on the roster. Because we have a lot of bullpen depth, which I don't think we could say last year, but they've definitely improved that. But yeah, John Curtis and Tim LeCastro, like, please be on the team. Like Buck, make the right decision. But yeah.
I like the idea of Tim LeCastro too, especially in late innings with the shift being banned. I think maybe we could potentially shift Nimmo over to like left and take Canha out or some, and then we have that LeCastro, Marte, and Nimmo outfield, especially with the shift being banned. It's really going to help with the range in the outfield. Like
this kid is fast. Like he was with the Dodgers, then he was with the Diamondbacks. Like, no, he's got some wheels, and from last year, I was all in on Travis Jankowski, and then Terrence Gore too.
Yeah, you were big on Terrence Gore. I like Terrence Gore. He's got he's got that World Series with the Braves, right?
Yeah, and I think he has another one too.
Yeah.
So like
he's still on our team, right?
No, he's not on the team anymore. This man will be a free agent until like September, when he'll get called back to another playoff team. That's like, hey, we need a base stealer, and he's fast. It's like, oh yeah, we'll call him.
I like Curtis too, though. Like you said, man, he's Oh no.
What
Oh, I
happened?
think I just unplugged my sound, but yeah, before I plug back in my sound, yeah, I like the idea of John Curtis though too. It's just looking at his stats right now. He had a 2.48 ERA 2 years ago in 35 games. That's it's pretty nice. So
No, he's
I think that could be a little wild card there out of the bullpen.
no, he's put some nice innings together. But I mean, I guess, yeah, I mean, spring training. We're a week away. I had the countdown clock. It's not up right now, but we're definitely a week away. Yeah, it's gonna be great. And then Josh comes back. Well, the four of us on there. I guess any last words before we get to, I don't know, opening days on the 30th. We'll probably do a show before then. No.
Yeah, 100%.
We'll do an opening day preview show, maybe a celebration show afterwards as well when the Mets win at Miami.
I hope we win. I hope we win against Miami with Max Scherzer on the mound.
Gene Segura is probably going to hit like a home run, walk-off home run in the bottom of the ninth inning.
I'll tell you what, though, speaking of opening day, though, and Gene Segura, I hope Scherzer does shut him down, and that doesn't happen because if there's one guy who Mets fans will not accept a slow start from, it's going to be Max Scherzer because obviously last year the Padres start, the Braves start. If he gets rocked his first couple starts or even struggles, I think a lot of Mets fans are going to start on Twitter, on the radio. It's going to be
trade him.
Yeah, like Scherzer's washed. It's done. He's falling off the cliff.
Yeah. All right. He sucked, but at least he knew he sucked.
Mm-hmm.
And I think this season he's got that chip on his shoulder. He's got to go in and he's going to go hard. He's gonna throw heat.
All right,
he did have 6 perfect innings, like 3 starts prior, like even 2 starts prior to that Brave start. So he's still he's got that chip.
Jimmy, you want to plug our socials since you know them off the top of your head, probably?
Oh, yes. At the Mets Way on all social media. It's at the Mets Way Twitter, at the Mets Way. We on TikTok. I think YouTube does usernames now, too. So I think we are at the Mets Way on YouTube. If not, just type it in. You'll find us. And also, we are on Facebook now, too. We got a Facebook page. We got a Facebook group. So we're live streaming from there, too. So I got to pop that Facebook logo in the bottom right.
For all your grandparents out there that want to watch the show, we're on Facebook.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
All right. I mean, that was first episode of many. It's going to be an awesome season.
Oh, yeah.
I think we got to a good start, boys.
Oh, yeah. We had like 20 live viewers on Twitter today. So shout out to Twitter. YouTube, I think we got up to like 4 or 5 at once. So
25. We can only go up from there, right?
Dude, we were getting like 90. So we're going to be up there soon. I think we'll be back. We'll be back.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. All right.
A couple Instagram reels, couple TikToks, couple YouTube shorts. You'd be like, wow, the Mets plays back.
All right. Have a good night, boys. Have a good night to all 25 of our viewers.
I'll leave you guys off with the most 3 electric words in all of major sports. Let's go Mets.
Hey.